Hello and welcome everyone to the #1 competitive Pauper Commander podcast, Common Theory. Today we actually have a guest on the channel, Islane, our editor. Islane, how are you doing today? How's your weekend been?
I work on the weekend, so yeah, non-existent. Also, daylight savings sucks. We talk about that a little bit in the pre-show. If you want to hear more, you just gotta subscribe.
Well, you gotta support
Patreon.
us over on Patreon or become a YouTube channel member, and you'll just get it for free.
Hell yeah. But yeah, daylight saving time happened this morning, and it coincides with when my alarm likes to go off. So I had to set my alarm an hour earlier, just to make it work on time. As I arrived there around 2 a.m., it became 3 a.m., and I clocked in at 3:15 a.m. So it worked out. I was not late, but we had two people call off, and another two guys were late because they didn't set their alarms properly or whatever. So yeah, it was good times. But yeah, I just worked. Nothing really. The only thing I have to report is I bought the Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters on Steam, and I've been having that 90s JRPG nostalgia trip for the last couple days. It's been fun.
Yeah, I actually haven't played Suikoden, but to be honest, the only time I've ever heard about it is when you're playing, Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes, and you have it in, and you have the save file in there, and Psychomantis goes, "Oh, I heard you like playing Suikoden." That's unfortunate about it.
Well, Konami, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but early 90s JRPGs are just great. They're all fun.
For the most part, yeah. It's really good. It's really good. If it's only like $50, I think, so definitely worth it. I've already put close to 10 hours in, and I'm still just on like the early stage of the first game. So yeah, it'll be a worthy investment, provided you have the time.
Yep, awesome. Gator, how have you been? How's your weekend?
Dude, my weekend has been absolutely awesome. I got no complaints. Weather has been great. Had a couple weird things happen. There were a few festivals and things that I had no idea anything about, so kind of ran into those over the weekend. But excluding that, I had a great weekend thus far, so no complaints.
Yep. That's good to hear, because I know I talked to you a little bit earlier, and you said that there was a water festival going on at the park you were at.
Yeah, that was a weird one, dude. So essentially what happened was I went out with the wife. We went to have a picnic, and there's this park it's about an hour and a half away from us, and we love going to it. And every time we've ever been historically, it's just empty. So you can pull your car anywhere in the entire park. So essentially when you have a picnic, you're able to just drive your car where the picnic is, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's wooded areas and stuff like that. So it's a beautiful view and so on and so forth, right? We pull into the park. We get around the corner. And I've been to this park 1,000 times. So many times at this point, it's insane. The wife used to do modeling for car shows at this park because it's such a nice park. They drive the cars on the, on the lawn and everything. And it's really, really pretty, right? We get around the corner, and literally every piece of grass that exists in this park has a car over it. I've never seen it. They have guys in there directing traffic, doing the whole shebang, and I'm going, well, our picnic is destroyed. What just happened? And so I drive up to the guy, and he goes, "Today is National Water Day." And I'm like, "National Water Day?" I'm like, what?
Is there a body of water nearby?
Well, it's Florida, dude. Literally,
there's canals and lakes everywhere.
Okay, well, yeah. I was just asking if that had something to do with it.
So they have tons of booze, tons of people. There's a cookout. There's so many things here, an indefinite amount of things here, and they're just cooking. And there's just people, kids, children everywhere. And I'm like, oh no, our picnic is destroyed. Luckily, park is huge, so I was actually able to flip around and go towards the beginning to where the festival is not happening, park up next to a lake, and sit down with the wife and have a picnic for a few hours. So it's still a lovely day. Can't complain, but it was one of those things where we ran into this crazy amount of people throughout the entire day, and just couldn't figure out what's happening here, what's happening there. So it is what it is, but can't complain. Like, still got to spend a great time with the wife, hanging out. So what else could you ask for?
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty
That sounds
boost.
nice and lovely. Yeah. Yeah. So
Was
so
it
far,
was there like an entry for that thing, or was it like, were they like telling you couldn't come in, or they were just saying like this is the thing that's happening here?
No, it was just a standard entry. So standard entry for that park specifically is $3. So
Oh,
super cheap. You go in. Me and the wife are ex-military because that I'm a disabled vet. We have a park pass that I get for free for all parks. So I'm able to just
cool.
get in. Yeah. It's super nice. So, but yeah.
well, hopefully it was better than Firefest. Am I right?
Oh, anything's better than Firefest. Yeah, but so far my weekends has been nice, chill. Mostly just been staying at home because like my wife she wasn't feeling too well yesterday. We're supposed to drive around for Coco Community Day, but we just went to the park, had fun, and then today was just take her out to a nice Chinese dim sum restaurant that we haven't been to in years, and she's make her happy.
Nice. Very nice.
Yep. So
Time to bring in the subject matter at hand. So today, guys, we are going to be doing the deed. Once again, like we guys told you, we're doing a every 90-day update on the tier list because the format is continuing to evolve at a much faster rate of speed. And we're here for part 1 of the tier list. So I'm very excited to bring it here to you guys, and we're going to do a little explanation here. So let me start it out. S tier. S tier is going to be the decks that we find to be the best decks of the format. These are the decks that if you bring to a tournament, the chances of you winning is going to be very high. Like, we could kind of give you like a comparison to like a CDH for you guys out there that know different formats and aren't very familiar with CPDH. So it's like kind of like the Kinnons and, the Timna. I used to say Timna Croms, right? But now it's like the Timna X decks of the format, right?
yeah,
Timothy Crom's still there.
Yeah, Timna Crom is still there. Yep, exactly.
Roxy kind of fell off, but
Currently, like we'll get into that Roxy thing here a little bit later. But so our S tiers are the decks that we find to be the strongest of the format. If you bring this deck, the table is going to try to jump you because, well, you're playing the best deck of the format. Then we have the A tier. A tier is just, it's right there. A few more cards are going to get printed. In fact, we've had a few of these decks, spoiler alert, that have jumped into the S tier now because a few cards have been printed and have jumped them into different tiers. So the A tier is just that deck that just needs a few more cards to really like get over that hurdle. And then we have the B tier. Now, a B tier deck is one, deck is still gas, right? That's why we're talking about these decks as a whole, and that's why they're even on the tier list. B tier deck is a deck that if you learn it and you know it better than most people, you're going to have the opportunity to bring it, outplay your opponent, and still have the ability to take down a tournament. Let's jump to C. C is somewhat similar. So C is going to have this like fringe capability to where you're like, I know this deck better than anybody. So if I play it, I'll be able to win the event, so on and so forth. But the problem with a C tier deck is that the C tier decks may just like end up auto losing to certain cards. Like, all of a sudden your opponent plays like a Suture Priest, and you're just like, can't beat that card. And you just throw your deck up to the air, and you're just like pissed off at yourself. And everybody's like, dude, bro, we don't have stacks in Pauper. You're like, well, prove you wrong with that one here real quick. So that's a C tier deck. D tier is we're going to use every single example. We need some cards. You might lose to some random thing. You may need help here with the deck. Some matches you have are amazing. Some matches are just auto losses. But you could just take this deck. If you don't see some of those decks are your auto losses, boom, you just pile drive through the entire event and you can win. So all of these tiers, we have faith that could take down a tournament. So, but with that said, let me do the introduction with the first commander pairing that we have. And Islane, so Islane, you're kind of stealing my thunder here, bro. I'm always the guy that talks about this deck, but you are taking this away from me today. And that is Sivirss Cloakwood Hermit. Islane, please take us away.
Well, I mean, you probably could have talked about it just as well because you've actually updated it more recently than me. Well, I updated it probably more recently, but after we had a conversation and you updated it. So, yeah. I don't really know where I want to put it, but I do know that I love the deck. I think it's really good still. It hits in weird ways because it's kind of not meta dependent. It can play in any meta, really. If there's a lot of fast combos, you just try to slow them down with Edict creatures and things. If it's a slower mid-range meta, you're built to grind in that environment very easily. And then if it's kind of a more controlling meta, it does, I think, kind of lose to like Aranus Street in some regards because like they can keep your board clean. And in that case, like it can be kind of problematic. However, if you can keep an Aranus Street down to just Aranus or whatever, you can edict it away as well. So you do have counter magic, so to speak. Also, the things like Grave Flickers and stuff that can protect your pieces and whatnot. So, I mean, it has a lot of versatility. I think it's still one of the best mid-range decks in the format as far as being consistent. Always has good card advantage. I was always flooded when I play it. As far as hand, not lands. We actually cut it down to a very minimal amount of lands because we found that we flooded way too often. And then I think you should talk about, maybe the newer combos that you've found to have worked, maybe just to like put a pin in it before we actually make our decision.
So I would love to. So I think what we need to do here is attempt to convince Franklin. I think this is where we have to do that because I know he does not like the deck. What was it? The shitty name you gave it, Franklin? Was it like?
My version is called "Please Just Give Me the Removal Spell" because whenever I played it, I have to convince the table like, "Hey guys, I'm not really doing much. I just need to have Snuff Out, have Breathe Your Last. I just need some stuff to like help make sure other people can't win, and we can just survive like whatever big threats on board."
Yeah, so like that's the standard statement I hear about the deck, and honestly, I love the list. My deck is almost completely foiled out at this point. It's been a work of love that I've had on the list forever and a day. So I am going to be very unbiased when I say these things, because typically I'm very biased because I have you and Rohan, but I have Islane here, so I can't just show the true love for it. So I'm going to have to argue with a pure power standpoint. So this is where I'm going to come at you guys with, and tell me if you think I'm wrong. So we recently had a huge conversation with Islane recently about the Sadistic Glee combo and the Basking Brood Scale combo. So that's a huge, huge metric right now in 60 card competitive Pauper. It's essentially the best deck in the format because it's historically it is the most efficient, mana efficient combo that has ever existed. So it is absolutely bonkers. It's very good, very strong. And it has always been able to fit in Sivirss. But the problem with it is that we needed to be able to look for it and find it, and you just kind of can't. But here's where I'm going to hit Islane. I'm not going to give you guys too many spoilers, but Islane has been recently playing a colorless deck. And throughout the time that I've watched him play it, it has a combo in it, and he's actually assembled it. Like, in a game with me playing, and I'm like, how the hell did you do that? Like, your deck is colorless. You have one card in the entire deck that you're able to locate, and then you had this card, and then you found it, and then you killed the table. Like, wow, that's really, really cool. So I took that thought and I was like, I'm going to apply that to Sivirss with the Brute Scale combo. And it is awesome. So let me tell you guys about Sadistic Glee. Holy crap, is this card stupid? In fact, Sadistically, 1 minute aura, enchant creature. Whenever a creature is put to the graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on enchanted creature. Now,
Any creature, not just yours.
Yes.
Yep.
So here's the cool thing, right? So statistically, whatever creature you put it on, that's what gets counter, right? So it's not a big deal. But here's what makes it really, really hot. Sivirss has a ton of creatures in the deck that are like, hey, if you put counters on me, I do extra things, not just the Brute Scale. Evolution Witness. If you put this on Evolution Witness and you're like, hey guys, here's my Accursed Marauder, which by the way, I know Isley knows this. We play every single sack fodder creature in the format in that deck. So our table sacks 3 creatures, we sack a creature, you get 1 counter, 2 counter, 3 counter, 4 counter, all individual triggers. Guess what? I just reloaded my hand with Evolution Witness. Disgusting. Now let's take that same metric. Let's apply it to a Crypt Rat. We put that on a Crypt Rat. Boosh. Like how do you beat that? Like
You honestly can't.
Bro, here, let's just use worst case scenario, right? Like, this is like the floor. And I know you guys, please argue with me in the comment section. And I know I'm going on about this, but think about it. The deck is built to be a removal stick, right? We have tons of removal in the deck. So I have a removal, so go for the throat, snuff out, pick anything. I put Sadistically on a Crypt Rat. I randomly just snuff out a random creature. Who cares? Anything. Just bam, blow it out. Crypt Rat's a 2/2. 2/2 Crypt Rat. Whoosh! All the 1/1s are gone. I kill 1/1/1. Crypt Rat's a 3/3. Now I will be able to untap, kill all the 2/2s. How do you stop my Crypt Rat now? One of the problems Sivirss has had in the past, well, I have problems. I close it out the game because my deck is slow. I'm typically a turn 14 deck. Let me put Sadistically on Sivirss. Eat a creature, Crypt Rat, blow the field. By the way, my Sivirss is now a 12/12. Commander damage, plow through you. You don't have any creatures because I just Crypt Ratted the field. I just edict the field, right? It's so good. It's something that I was overlooking for such a long time in the deck that I almost feel like stupid about. And I know I'm going way too far into the tank here with you guys, but one of the things we like to do here with the tier list is you guys get in our minds, get in our brains, and you guys understand why we even think these decks are even good. So Sivirss, I gotta give it to it, man, with this recent upgrade and the way the deck is playing now. By the way, also, we even added the cards like Costly Plunder. Like, we went all the way in with the draw spells. So the deck could play completely without Sivirss at this point.
And then the Implement of Ferocity with the E-Wit.
With Evolution Witness, yes. Like, deck has gotten so many upgrades. The deck is just gasoline at this point. I would like to put it in B. Now, hear me out. But I think currently it should be in C. Until people start seeing this new variant out in the wild and really playing against it. Because I honestly think this new variant is gas. Like, I think the new version is so good. So give me your guys' thoughts. Franklin, was I even able to convince you a little bit? How about that? Like, kind of mediumly?
No, because that was always the biggest problem that I had with Sivirss, that I was able to get really close to closing out the game, but just was missing one, or like just literally one piece to end. Yeah, just to end the game. So just Sadistically on Sivirss would have just been enough. Sadistically on a Rat would have been enough, and then we just put Brute Scale in here, and we're already running. Was it Mirkwood Bats in Nadir's Nightblade? So we just go like the regular. Golgari Sadistically? Yeah. You just become a 60 card deck really quickly and go Brute Scale, Glee, good game.
Yep. Yeah, we already have all the payoffs. I completely agree with that. So.
Well, and then we still have the gray merchants and the other things that were finishers before that still work. And if you, as long as you don't cut all of the grave flickers, you can at least do that once. And sometimes just one Gary is enough to chunk people.
Yeah, it's usually a big enough swing.
Completely agree. Yeah. But are we down to at least do C tier here? Because I think
I was going to vote B just because I think it will. Not from my own experience, because I haven't been able to top 4 with it, but you top 4'd with it, and then you've also told me the stories about your local Florida LGSs and stuff where people have taken the deck to completion. So, again, not my own personal experience, but in my personal experience, like, I know the deck is good. It's just I haven't had the tournament results due to a lot of extraneous factors. A, me being not a great player. B, getting in a lot of 3-man pods. C, getting, people that not necessarily are bad players, but just inexperience or whatever, poor threat assessment, things like that. And obviously, I have also misplayed my way out of some games too. So there's a lot of factors, but based on everybody else's success and based on just like on paper how good it looks. Despite the fact that maybe I haven't pulled off these combos because they're fairly new additions, but I also haven't been playing as often as I should. But yeah, I think it would be like bottom end of B, top end C. I can agree either way.
Yeah, I got to give it to you though. You did bring up one factor, and this is why I say C currently, and then it'll come up to a B once those players start really doing it. And here's why I say that. The deck is unforgiving. You make a misplay, you lost the game, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to sorcery speed kill your dude, and then your next opponent untaps and wins. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I guess I lost. Like,
I have been in the unfortunate situation where I've had to play table police, though, and I have had the interaction to stop people from winning. So, I mean, it's not that the deck isn't capable of that. It's just, it is more of an attrition grindy deck, and that's just all there is to it.
Yeah, you got to know how to play a deck like this to be able to pilot this deck even from the beginning. And that's why I say C.
If you've ever played Thrasios decks in CDH, you'll feel right at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's why I also say C, because the new additions, I believe, put it into B, but until more people start seeing it and playing against it, then we could jump into that.
Honestly, in the online space, it's like you and me that play it, and that's it. Really, I've never seen anybody else pick it up. But
if you're going to ask me, and you put this deck in my hands, and you let me play it in an event, I'm going to tell you it's an A tier deck. People are going to shit my face, and I'm going to be like, "Oh, you think you don't think this is an A tier deck? Guess what? You just lost. I'm going to grind you into the dirt. Like, this deck is gas." But
and that was another point that I think I wanted to bring up. I think this deck actually does pretty well in like regular EDH tables too. And I think like, what is it? The total cost of this thing's like what, $45, $50 at most?
I think it's under 50. I think it's like 47 or some shit. It's not very high. It's a pretty
because that was
pretty good.
That was like another point that I wanted to bring up, that all these decks that we see here, they're all very budget. None of these like ever hit more than like 120 at most, and that's
mine is sitting here at 150, but yeah, that is probably I'm not on Snowlands, so I'm not sure where the value. It's probably just the particular printings that I have selected on Moxfield, which don't represent necessarily what's in the deck. So if I updated it cheapest, I could do that, but I don't want to mess with it.
Oh yeah.
But with that said, I think we all could agree C tier here. Yeah. And you know what? Let's move on, because I apologize you guys for being so long into this deck, but that deck is very much a passion project. So I love the list, love the deck, and I've been very happy to work with this lane on it for actual years at this point. So
yeah, I think I made it like 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah. So let's move on to Scholar of the Ages. Franklin, could you take us away with this one?
Yep. Scholar of the Ages is a blue control deck that looks to put out a whole bunch of mana rocks on board and then just combo off with like a big high tide turn. And if it can't hit high tide, then you have loops with Flickering Scholar of the Ages and Dramatic Reversal.
Yep.
And to untap all your rocks and recast all of your spells.
Yeah.
This is I would still say it's still pretty fast. Like even though Goes tries to go off starting turn anywhere between turn 5 to turn 7.
I was gonna say I've never seen it pop off super fast, but I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I don't think I've seen it win before like turn 5 or 6.
Yeah, well, remember things are relative.
That's
Turn
Christmas
5,
time.
yeah, no, and 5 and 6 is still relatively fast for PDH.
Yes, that's
Where games
sure.
where this format's still like a turn 8, turn 9 format.
Yeah.
Totally with fair. Things, yeah, although with things how are now, it's starting to get slower again. So having a faster control deck that has all the counter spells in the world, all the bounce spells in the world, this still has like a great niche in it. As long as you can survive all the pinger damage, you should be fine.
So what do you want to rate it, Franklin? What's your thoughts?
I feel because it's unable to really protect itself against other creature heavy decks, I think B was a middle, and B is like perfectly fine, because we used to call this one of the 3 gatekeeper decks of the format. One of the 3 gatekeeper monocolor format. Yeah,
I still believe it falls into that category of a gatekeeper. If you can't beat this deck, I think you cannot win in our format. Like you cannot survive or have success in our format if you can't beat this deck.
Yeah,
what's your thoughts, this lane? What do you think?
I agree with B. I think that it suffers from being mono blue, and I know that's hot take, I guess, but like it's not a Simic untapper deck. Simic, I feel like Simic decks are just better in this format. So prove me wrong, I guess. But like even Abdel decks that are flicker have 2 colors, right? So like I feel like if you're gonna do flicker combos, I'd rather have extra colors. So for me, that's why I think it's B. I don't know it statistically well enough to know how many tournaments it's won or if it has anything.
It's 1-1.
It's 1-1.
Okay, so I mean that's good enough, but
actually, technically, we get down to it. It has won every single appearance it's made so far.
So
wow, 100% win rate. Wow, yeah.
So here's my argument to you guys. Historically, so if you were going to tell me what tier this deck belongs in, I mean, you guys don't get pissed off at me. I'm going to probably have a lot of hot takes today, but you guys know that I'm honest with you, so just take it for what it is and argue with me in the comment section, and I'd love to go back and forth with you guys. When I played this deck, and when I played this deck, as of right now, in this current moment in time, still to this day, it is the #1 win rate deck that I play. When I play this deck, I almost win every time. I have just recently lost my most recent game, and it was on stream, and I just didn't draw like anything. Like I just drew like garbage, never saw draw cards, never saw anything.
Was it on my stream?
Yeah,
it was on your stream.
Card up right here above.
Prior to that, I won my last 12 games with the deck. I win with the deck damn near
I've definitely seen you win with it, for sure. But you're one of the only people I've seen play. I think I've seen like 1 or 2 other people play it. I don't recall about their wins. You know, I when you first pulled it out, like I think you were probably one of the first. I think Bobby might have played it too, but one of the first times I saw it, I remember just thinking like, this deck seems lame. And then I saw it work, and then I was like, okay, I get it. It's a mono blue stormy kind of deck, but requires a lot of setup and a lot of mana to get to the payout. Well, obviously High Tide helps with that, but yeah, it's a High Tide deck. I played against dozens of them in CDH, so like I get it. But at the same time, I just think that there's stronger decks in this format. So again, prove me wrong, but I would play Abdel Blue or one of the Simic decks that do flicker stuff if those exist, or not flicker, but like the untapper shit. Just seems stronger in general.
Yeah, there's a Simic flicker deck that's Lily Splash Mentor.
Oh yeah,
yes. Yep. But I'll give you guys B, but I'll let you know right now that this deck is like just gas on a fire for me. Like I think this deck is disgusting. I love to play it.
The problem with gas on a fire though is if you don't put it on properly, it blows up in your face.
Sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
So let me put the most. I put like C17 on this. Evaporates before it even gets there, like
rocket fuel.
So,
but that's where I'll put it too. Right in B, right there, smack dab in the middle. If you can't beat this deck, just retool your deck until you can start beating Scholar in the face.
But with that said, Islane, Loyal Subordinate is our next one. Take us away.
All right, Loyal Subordinate, aka Larry, the fucking child of Lotad, I think. Really, I can't think of anybody else that really has played it all that much. I play something similar in Dalek Squadron, which I feel is not superior, but just more fun. However, they did print a new card in Aether Drift that makes Dalek really fucking busted. That 3 damage ETB on your every combat, that kind of brings it right in line with Larry, on top of what it already could do with some of those.
Wait. Are you saying that losing 3 life a turn by taking no game actions but existing is good?
Man,
is that what I'm hearing?
Good thing you already have that on your commander.
Yeah, so this guy actually does nothing. You move to combat, he doesn't even have to swing. It does damage to everybody at the table, which is great. And it's kind of the hypothesis I've used and adapted to 2 other commanders that are on this list that we'll talk about later. But the symmetrical damage that just happens is pretty freaking good. I mean, we figured out pingers were good, right? The pinger meta has been around for a while. This is just that on steroids, because you don't even have to cast spells or do anything. It's just there, and it just does the thing. And I've lost to it quite a bit, and I've won against it quite a bit. So, I think it's a strong deck. I know people are probably going to say it's better than Sivirss Cloakwood. I think it's basically almost an equivalent, because I feel like I've done just as much drain damage and alley-ooped Larry's as they have me. So I might put it in bottom B and leave Sivirss top C. That would be my spot for it, because it's still doing basically the same thing. It's got sack edicts, it's got sack fodder, it's got some of them might have Grave Flickers. I don't know what the current list looks like, but it's still doing mono black shenanigans and draining the table, and that does make it a target. That is one thing it kind of folds to, is eventually it can't recast its commander, unlike a Dargo.
Oh no, it does. This scene will just like play out lands forever and like, Larry costs 9? Alright. Larry costs 11? Okay.
I get that.
I'm chill with that.
I mean, you
eventually you could actually stop them from being able to cast it again if, say maybe they just didn't draw the amount of lands they needed. It's not card advantage in the command zone, so that kind of is a ding against it in my book, but again, I would say probably bottom B.
Let me, before you give your opinion, Franklin, let me hit you with mine. I was going to go D with mine. Maybe. See, I don't think it could compete with Sivirss Cloakwood anymore, personally.
I was just going off of personal experience, but that is dated.
Yeah. But so I definitely don't disagree with your thoughts. I still think this is one of those decks that if you cannot beat this deck, you need to look at the pile of cards that you made and go, I guess I can't compete in the format. So, but the problem is we've gotten some busted cards recently, like Arabellas and Fleshrakers, and we still have the Tatiovas, and like there's just so many where it's like, Larry, dude, like, pick up pace. Bro. So I want to give it the top of D currently, personally. But what do you think?
I mean, honestly, I wanted to put it just under Sivirss, but I was trying to be fair that like it does have the little edge on it being, a thing that just happens for free. But
that's not even like a thing, because like if I'm sitting at a table with a Larry and an Arabella, I care more about what the hell the Arabella is doing. The Larry are like, bolt me in the face. I don't care.
Though, is that both of them are helping each other. And that's, I think, where Larry really shines, is in the pinger meta, where everybody at the table is doing something symmetrically that's draining, and he's just doing it a little bit faster than everybody else, so he outlives them.
But the problem is...
No, not Arabella.
The biggest problem is right now is like the little bit of life gain Arabella has is outpieces Larry.
Little bit? Jesus Christ. Like every time I lose to an Arabella or I've won with an Arabella, you're like 60 plus life and you're just like chilling.
Yeah, that's why Larry does not have the life gain. Like the most it has is from Gary.
So then what is your opinion then, Franklin? Sorry to cut you off, but let's
this one
in the butt. Which one?
Yep. Bottom of C, top of D as well. So
Okay,
for right
so
now,
I'm saying top of D.
I've been outvoted. I'll put
Yeah,
it below Sivirss
outvoted.
then. That
I
makes
would
the bottom
say
of C.
I would say top of D. Top
yeah,
of D.
we'll throw it in D because Larry needs help. Larry needs like a lot of love, but we can get there. But here's a deck that Gator you love and that you've piloted well. Your daughter Mini CJ has won with this deck. Aaron like top forward with his deck. You hand this deck to anyone, they'll have maximum smiles per hour. It's Dargo Kediss.
So I think this deck is. We don't even need a lot to talk about this deck a lot. If you start playing against or playing in the CPDH format, pick up Dargo Kediss. The table will immediately try to jump you because your deck is bonkers insane. It's not complicated. Deck is, can you count this high? You play your 2 commanders, you thrash the table. That's it. Too easy. My daughter won with it. Just like Franklin said, every single person that picks this deck up, the deck is bonkers. I hand it to new players. They're able to thrash me at the LGS. So I think this deck is a solid A tier, and I don't see this deck moving away from its A status for a very long time. Guys, your thoughts? I don't think we have to go very long in the tooth with this one.
No, it's Dargo Kediss. It's literally the mono red staple of this format.
I mean, my thought is if, obviously your daughter has played against you for years, so she's gotten grueling training and whatnot. But like, if a literal child can take this to a tournament and win with it, it's got to be good, right? I mean, it's simple enough for them to grasp, complicated enough, or not so complicated that they can't figure out the lines. But obviously it is a little complicated because Dargo can get a little weird. I've never played it. I've never played Dargo on principle because I hate Dargo. I hate playing against Dargo. I hated him in CDH. I hated him in EDH. I hate him in this format. So I refuse to play him, and that's probably a mistake. But, I have no experience playing as a Dargo ever. Never played the deck one time. But I've seen it crush people. I've been crushed by it. Seems good. I'm down for A.
Yeah, too easy. But with all that said, let's bring us to a next one in Franklin. I think you know a lot about this one because, well, you talk with a specific someone. I'll let you throw the names and everything out there.
Down under.
Deck. So
send it. So this is Kediss Esior. It's a what I like to call this a messed up Lotad special because Lotad is, I don't know what's with that guy, but he just gets on Voltron strategies and just like hones them perfectly. Yeah, like he loves mono white decks. Loves so like good. Yeah, like before people used to play like Bird Horse. He also used to work on Kediss, Kelith. And then he was just like, the problem that I have with Kediss Kelith is I don't kill people fast enough. I don't have good enough control pieces. So he changed out the horse for a bird. And
hey, birds fly.
Birds fly, and it gives the protection that it needs because it's part of Esior's name, the Ward Wing. And what's super messed up is that the protection it gives isn't Ward. So you actually do have to pay for a heated debate. And it does the extra tax just hurts. Like after a while, it's just unpayable.
Let me interrupt you here real quick. I gotta put this quick caveat here, Franklin. So you guys know, Kediss and Kelith was on the tier list. It's no longer here. And this deck replaced it. So this should tell you just a little bit of how we think about it.
Yeah. Again, it just puts a clock on people and just like beats you down. I actually, I think I want to put it up in like either very high C or somewhere in B. We just need more people playing it, or Lotad just needs to play it a lot more and just remind people like, hey, I'm going to beat you with flyers. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a minute.
Yeah.
I've never seen this list. And it's in Is It colors, which we already know are like S tier. It's an S tier combination for the most part. What is this deck doing though? Like, I know it sounds, Voltron-y because you can. I know the horse bird. What was it? The fucking
Bird
horse
horse.
one? Bird horse?
Horse lizard.
Keleth.
Horse lizard.
Horse Whatever the fuck. That deck. I know that one. Kediss Keleth is super fast aggro, Voltron-ish, like just smack you real quick, kill people real fast. That's cool. That's the same thing that Dargo's doing. That's cool. This is a bird that's like a 1/3, I think.
Yes.
It does give protection, which is great, but
so
I mean, double strike spells and things I can understand. You know, things that maybe buff Kediss or just buff the bird so you swing in. I get all of that, but like, is it running any combo stuff, any pingers? Like, what is the deck doing? Because this is new, and I don't think anybody knows what it's doing.
Yeah, so the only real combo it runs is bird goes straight to your face. Because all right, so you know how because you know how white gives like a whole bunch of broad board pump spells,
anthems,
yeah. Blue has a lot of effects that modify the base power and toughness of your creatures.
Sure.
So instead of a 1/3 coming at your face, you have a like 4/5 or 4/4, like Blades of Velasquez.
Double strike and stuff from red. So yeah, I see that.
Yep.
So it is just pure Voltron. There's no pingers. There's nothing else.
Pure Voltron. I think there's still some spell pingers in it.
No spell pingers. The list is on like I think 4 creatures, something very very minimal.
So it is completely commander focused. Okay, so for me that reads not bad, but potentially weaker than some of the cards we've already discussed. I think where you've got it is probably where it goes until it's proven more.
So let me hit you with this one. I do believe that I think C is a good placement for that. I do agree with you. Oh, in front of Sivirss. No, sir. Calm down.
I don't know about that either.
Calm down. We got Edict creatures. I need you to calm down with that one.
All right. Fine.
But that's
how dare you, sir?
That is the deck's weakness.
Pull off my glove.
It is weak against Edict creatures. It's weak against a few of the mono black strategies that we have.
Yeah, without other creatures, and you're not making tokens, so your ship's just gonna blow up.
Yep. But I gotta go back to what Insane said already. It's Izzet, and Izzet is bonkers. I would make an argument that Izzet is the best 2 colors in the format when you put them together.
I think we have the most amount of Izzet decks in here compared to every other color.
Yeah.
Besides, Simic probably close second.
Yeah. So Izzet is bonkers, and you get some insane cards. And
well, is this really using Izzet to its fullest capability? That's my problem.
Yes. So the answer to your question is yes. This deck actually plays permission spells, and here's what makes this deck disgusting. Watch this. I go turn 1, turn 2, Esior. Turn 3, Kediss. Swing with Esior. You go, I have a Snuff Out. I don't have to care. I'm going to get to turn 3. I'm going to pay 3. And I'm going to snuff out your dude. And I'm not going to care about it, right? I'm the Sivirss player. I'm going to be like, ha, ha, ha. I don't have the Edict dudes, but I have the snuff out. So I'm just going to go, okay, end of turn. Snuff you out. You only have an island open. What are you going to do? You don't have counterspell. The deck goes, oh, here's a Spell Pierce. Which Spell Pierce in every other deck in the format is typically you do not play it. Because once you get to later turns, Spell Pierce for 2 is
nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yep.
But this is Spell Pierce for 5. So it's like, oh, pay the 3, I have 3 mana. Here, show you Spell Pierce. Out. Holding up 1 mana of interaction. Your opponent's like, I never play against a Spell Pierce. I never play against Mana Leak. I never play against these cards that are typical permission spells that you, on average, play against. So, like,
I didn't think about how you can just add 3 to every spell. Essentially, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
exactly.
And again, it's not wards, so Slice and Shadows doesn't work.
Yep. It's more like Grand Arbiter. It's like a tax that's just automatically applied. Well, it's actually a Trinisphere, essentially. Trinisphere for anything that targets my shit.
Yep.
My commander.
So I find I see very
it.
Good. But I think C is exactly where it should be. It has some definitive weaknesses, which I think is the problem with the deck. Like, there's some games that this deck can just not win. You're playing against Hollow Marauder, you're playing against Sivirss, you're playing against Sir Conrad, right? You play against one of these mono black decks, which their game plan is, hey, turn 2 edict, turn 3 edict, turn 4 edict, turn 5 edict.
Yeah.
You don't play the game, right? So
yeah, actually, you know what? I think there's some gameplay on Sanctuary's FNM with Lotad playing this deck.
I'll try to check it out.
I'll try to link it.
Okay, perfect. But with that said, with you guys, I agree. I think C is a perfect metric for it currently. Now, let's move on to the next one. Now, this next one we all know is somewhat...
I'm just going to move it here just to like throw it up on here. There's not the final placement of it, but...
So, half of the reason Islane is here is because, one, well, we love Islane. Two, Rohan was unable to be here with us. But three, Islane knows a few of these decks better than most people, and this one is a Islane brainchild. Islane, I had the opportunity to be on your channel, talk about this deck in depth with you, but I think you should take the reins and definitely speak about this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so, as you said, we did a whole ass deck tag video on this bad boy, but this is the Glaring Fleshraker. It's a weird, colorless commander. So, ironically, when Modern Horizons 3 came out, there were two that I was interested in. I saw this one, and then I saw this other one, which I can't remember the name of. I'll pull it up. 2 seconds. Where did I put you? Breaker of Creation. I thought Breaker of Creation was cool, but I knew it wasn't overly competitive. It was just like, I want to build this thing as if it's competitive. It's pretty stupid, but yeah, it basically can gain you big chunks of life. It has hexproof from colors, and it has Annihilator too. It has a big fuck off 8/4. So it seemed fun, but it's not great. Though I did play it, I believe, on Lawbert's stream and won with it first time I played it. So yeah, it did its thing. But that was, more casual leaning. So anyhow, Glaring Fleshraker. It's a 2/2. It costs 3 mana. It's a colorless deck. It's funny because it just says, hey, play your spells, make dudes, ping the table. So it's got the Arabella, the Larry, the, symmetrical pinger thing going for it, but it's colorless. And yeah, on paper, you're like, ugh, colorless. But, there are a billion colorless commons, and it just so happens that a lot of them have a lot of stuff.
Let me interrupt you here real quick. I heard some of the things you were saying, but can I throw my 2 cents at you? I kind of think it's more resemblance like Zada with the Storm thing. That's only based upon me seeing you play the deck. What are your thoughts, dude?
So, yes, I built it to be Storm. That's not how I originally thought of it. It was more just, this is a pinger deck, it's a pinger meta, this sounds good. Symmetrical damage, to me, out of the command zone, is a premium. Like, if you can have a deck that does that, you're getting ahead of everybody else. You're also putting pressure on the whole table, not just one person. So it's not Voltron where you're like, well, I just got to smack you twice and you're dead, or just Alpha Strike you and you're dead, and then, somebody else wins the combo and you're like, well, shit, I didn't do anything. I prefer whittling people down and then losing the combo and being like, well, I didn't do anything. But still, I digress.
Yeah.
This thing gives you mana, so it does actually remove a key piece of a known colorless combo, which Teshar players might also know. So there's a couple retrievers in the format that pull artifacts out of the grave into your hand, and there are a billion and one either 0, 1, 2, 3 cost artifacts that come in, draw you a card, blow something up, can be sacrificed to blow things up. It just does everything you want it to do. It has tons of removal, it has tons of card draw, it has tons of ways to make mana, and it just so happens to just ping the table symmetrically every time you play something. And then has a crazy top end where it's real easy on like turn 4 or 5, tap 8 mana or sack dudes to also make mana, and here's an Eldrazi. Deal with that now.
So where do you believe this deck goes? I want you to have the most biased opinion here. I want you to be like me with Scholar, dude. How all in do you think this is? Like, truth be told,
I really want to put it in A, but I don't think it's proven itself just yet. And I think the honing. So even after the last tournament I played in, where I did, as you mentioned earlier, pull off the one combo and win, in a tournament setting against meta decks, like that felt pretty freaking good. So I mean, it can do the thing. And I actually feel like I had pretty much my best tournament performance. Like I didn't get it. I think I finished 7th, which is not great. But if we were going to like, if we had enough players and we had like one of those cut to top 16, I might have had more chances to go farther, which could improve its odds as well. So, as of right now, at being a Storm deck that really doesn't exist, Zada is one of the only decks that's really, truly like a Storm list where you can just non-deterministically take like 6 games.
I'm sorry, I was coughing.
Yeah.
Okay, Malcolm Kediss, yes. Abdel, also, sure. Sorry. I just don't play those decks, so when I think of Storm, I think of Zada, and I think of this guy. Just in the sense of like taking 6 or 7 game like not just the game ends, but just I'm going to take all these actions and burn the table for 6. I have all these resources on board. I just got all of these dudes that are also mana. That also means I can take more game actions because I drew 5 cards, and then I got more things that say draw cards, and then you draw cards, and then you make more mana, and the cycle continues. I think probably the best hit I've gotten off of it was like 10-ish damage to the table, so 30 damage to the table.
Okay. So what do you...
With bodies and everything else. Like, it can go hard. I just think people either need to play it more, or I need to hone it more. And again, as I said, Aether Drift brought a few additions to it. So
well, I think your list is actually really good. Truth be told, I actually think your list is very honed in. Truth be told, guys, try his list. Switch a few cards if you want to like cater it to you, but I would highly recommend not to do that because I looked at his list and I was like, everything here makes sense from the Tormod's Crypt all the way to the fat Eldrazi dude. So don't change it immediately. Get at least 10 games before you start messing with stuff. But what category are you putting this in, dude? Are you looking A, B, C, or D? Like, what do you think?
I'm saying bottom A.
Bottom A. Whew. Okay.
That's
Franklin. What do you got?
I was actually thinking top of C, bottom of B, because I know this is going to sound a little bit insulting. Before, when it wasn't so much of a pinger heavy meta, and before Arabella existed, I felt like Fleshraker had to do all 90 damage to the table. But now it can pretty much get away with only doing 10 to 15 to the table, and it just has to be the last 10 to 15.
So I'm gonna argue against that. So I actually agree with what you're saying, Franklin. But I'm gonna take it a step further. What if those decks aren't at the table and you need to do the 90 yourself and you're gonna fall short every time? So that's my problem with the deck, right? Like, you guys know how I am here. Yeah, you guys know how I am here on the channel. Your deck needs to be able to do the thing, do the deed itself. Depending on your opponent, is means to an end. You cannot do that. You will fail. You guys could not take my word for it, but, you'll see at the end of the day, you do the thing yourself, or you don't do it at all. Kind of thing. You'll get away with it sometimes, but I think with the decks that we already have on the tier list, this is how I'm rating it. I'm not rating it on my own personal opinion. I'm looking at Scholar, and I'm going to go Fleshraker cannot compete against Scholar. I'll beat it if I'm playing Scholar. Sivirss, dude, I am literally playing Edict.com. How is this Fleshraker going to live against me?
Literally cast a spell and have Edict fodder? I mean, yeah, the non-token thing, maybe,
but
there's also a bunch...
come on, man.
I've played against Sir Conrad, no problem. I've beaten tier decks. I've beaten Hall of Marauder. I beat Zada in the tournament with the combo.
I'll give you this. The first time you ever brought it, and you brought it to the Common Theory on our Thursday night throwdowns, you actually played it against Malcolm Kediss, Gretchen, and was it Abdel or was it Scholar? I don't remember the last one. It was one of them. Might have
been Abdel.
It was a very, very high deck that we speak about, and you won that pod.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit.
And none of the Malcolm Kediss is kind of pinger, but like I've literally been like my first pod that I won in that tournament. There was no pingers. There was a Hald Marauder. There was a fucking Zada, and there was I don't remember the third player, but they weren't a pinger. There was nobody was assisting me. I was just draining the table, and then people were hitting each other, and that's still not assisting. But well, I feel like it can stand toe to toe with meta decks, and that's why I rated it high.
I don't disagree,
but I also know it's not proven, so I could see maybe bringing it bottom B instead of bottom A.
So
I don't think it's D or C at all. Okay, but then again, I would have rated Sivirss a little higher too.
so
it's not D for sure.
So we have the biased opinion of Islan here with where he has it. I'm gonna go with C. I don't see this deck being above an Esior Kediss and or a Sivirss Cloakwood. Now, here's my hilarious opinion. If you put both of these together, like Esior and Kediss with Fleshraker, that's a disgusting pod. I don't want to play in that pod. So
I do if I could only get a game in for 30 minutes. Then I'll be like, oh, cool, perfect.
But I'm gonna vote for C. What do you got first, Franklin? You're the deciding factor here.
Yeah, like I said, I still think bottom would be top of C.
Top of C, in front of Cloakwood. Okay.
All right. So my problem is that I haven't pulled off any of the newer combos in Sivirss Cloakwood to know like how satisfying it is. I have had a lot of satisfaction. Fleshraker brings me the fucking smiles per hour or whatever dumb shit Franklin says. So I'm like,
okay,
all right, fine.
All right.
Look, you see, actually, because Islam said the magical words, here you go.
Dude, you persuaded him. Okay, I'm going to say that in the next one. All right.
Honestly, no, Zada's also maximum smiles per hour, so we'll put that wherever.
I'd probably put Zada above Fleshraker, to be fair, so, Okay,
yeah,
but so here we are. We said the magical words. We all settled with B. I was outvoted. I still think C, but we went with B with Fleshraker. Let's move to Zada.
I got this one.
You got this one? Do you got this one?
Because the next one's yours.
Next one's mine. Hit us with Zada, dude.
All right. Zada, Mono Red Storm. Stein won with it. He won with the most recent common cause with it? Just beat the crap out of everyone. It does the thing it needs to do. You resolve Zada. If Zada hits the table and you have some mana open, congratulations. You just drew your whole deck. If someone shows you a fog, you say, Flaring Pain. That was cute. Try to do that again. And if somehow your combat does get stuffed, congrats, you have the best 7 cards of your deck. It's ready to go off again. This deck is nuts.
It rebuilds like no other.
Hang on, Islan. Wait. Franklin, hit me with a letter. Where are you going?
I'm putting it next to Flush. I'm putting it above Fleshraker. So, next in B.
Second.
In B?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, I'm the one off again. I'm going A tier. I'm getting outvoted. Let me guys hit you with a quick blurb. You're not playing against a blue deck at the table.
Oh, no, then you just win.
You just auto win the game, right?
Yeah,
you're mulling, you're like, I'm not playing against blue. Shuffle. I'm looking for a good hand. Cool. Turn 5, win. Right?
Yeah, you just outrace whoever's playing mono black control, and you're fine. The only thing.
Its only weakness is colorless, because I beat it.
Okay, but for real. I personally think if we're looking at the tier list here, what we already have set up.
You know what? I will concede. I will concede to you and say, put it in bottom of A because it won a tournament.
Yep.
It's not like I've lost to Stein playing it forever. I think Fleshraker is on its heels though. It's coming for it, and I think that it may actually get there.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, but also Scholar could look at Fleshraker just in his face. So,
I don't know.
But yeah, look at what we already have set up.
If I dig hard enough, we'll see.
It's really hard for me to argue that Dargo Kediss is just better than Zada, right? Because you either choose to have to counterspell against Zada, or you because Dargo doesn't give a shit about a counterspell, right? Because they just go, oh yeah, you countered it. Pay 1, do it again, sack the other thing that I have in play. But then Zada goes, I give a shit
Dargo does
about
have
the counterspell.
Yeah, Dargo does have the upper hand on this one.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why Zada has to jump through the one hoop of resolve Zada, have mana open. Yeah, and if not, have Zada and manage to untap with Zada.
Yeah, but you don't always play against a blue pod. I understand some of the best decks are blue. You're gonna see them, but isn't having an auto win great? And let's be honest, Dargo also has auto wins as well. And if both of these decks just have auto wins, how do you argue against them being next to each other, right?
Yeah, that's fair. It goes. But, like I said, the next deck is yours, so talk to me about Horrid Shadowspinner. We had an A last time.
Here's my argument for this deck. It's going to be exactly the same. It's fucking disgusting. That's the nicest thing I could say about it. In fact, I actually can't say anything bad about the deck. Do you want to learn how to play a deck? Do you want to play a good deck? Do you want to try to outplay your opponents? There you go. Play this deck. It could Voltron beat your opponent to death. It can pivot to combo winning. It can choose to beat your opponents down with a Murmuring Mystic and thrash a table. I don't know. What do you want to do? You like playing Magic and figuring out a puzzle? Play Horrid Shadowspinner. Oh, by the way, real quick, last thing, Franklin, and then crush my dreams. Everything we've been discussing so far has been the pinger meta. Your commander has lifelink.
It has lifelink and it wants to get bigger. That's how you outrace pinger decks.
Yep.
No, and I was going to agree with you because we have footage of a TPI player saying we have to deal with your Murmuring Mystic, and they're playing TPI and they're worried about your Murmuring Mystic. I think that's all that really needs to get said about this.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least because I think the deck is just I know you guys aren't going to agree with me, but the deck is S tier. The deck is disgusting. It has answers for literally everything in the format, and there's very few decks that have the ability to say that. Just more people need to play it. And the problem that I've been seeing with this deck when it gets played is people want to bully it. They're like, I'm going to just make sure you do anything. And then they end up losing to another thing because of how inherently powerful this deck is. So, it kind of is what it is. But, gotta
Isling, your thoughts?
Punches.
What's ironic about it is that I made a Tygem deck when Tygem got downshifted, and it literally was, it can draw things, it can combo, it has all the edicts, it has counter spells, and basically everything you just said outside of the Voltron part, it did.
Yeah.
And it didn't draw as well as this does. But this has also been printed since that was downshifted. But I thought that deck had legs because it was just like, okay, this can sit, it can control the game, it can do things, and then it has combo finish.
You played it against me, for the record.
The
first time you played it against me, you won.
I thought it was pretty good. And then I just kind of gave up on it because it just didn't feel like that strong. This feels like the better version of that deck, essentially. And the first time I played against it was in the last Sanctuary. I didn't play this last Sanctuary, but the Sanctuary before. Is the first time we saw it because it had just been printed. We saw 2 players that played it, and one of them got pretty far.
Yeah.
I ended up. I want to say I was playing. I think I was still playing Sivirss in that one, but I was in contention in the first game that I played against it, but I ended up losing to it, and it was just like, wow, that deck's crazy. And then I know that you played it and had some success as well, so. It seems good. I've never played it. I'm tempted by it because, like I said, I did build that Tygem deck, and I think Dimir is not in a terrible position in Pauper right now. So, being able to have some game-winning combos and whatnot, and then also have your edicts and your counterspells and whatnot too, Did you even say where you were putting it? You said S tier.
He
I
said
don't know
S,
about. I don't know about S tier.
I wanted an S tier.
But
I'm gonna go for A. Is the real answer.
I think A is fine. It is a very modal commander that can be built in several different ways, and it's in good colors. It's not Is it, but it's still. I think Dimir is pretty close in power level to Is it as well. So at least in Pauper. So I think that because you have access to all of the transmutes, so you could. That's what I liked about when I made the Taigun list. It was like I can run like 6 transmutes, and like most of them still have some use. Yeah. Even like what was it, Shred Memory? Like
so good.
Exile a couple cards go tutor up a 2-drop. Like that's fucking great. The Mind Spoil or whatever, the 5-drop one can get you some key pieces sometimes that you might need, like an Archaeomancer maybe. Not an Archaeomancer, the other
it does
ones.
Get you Archaeomancers.
Is it 4?
No, just 5 mana ones.
Anyhow, yeah, exactly. So it does have more tutors than any other list, I think, if you want to play them, if you have the pieces that you need to play. So yeah, I think it's probably pretty good. Again, I can't see it above who I already know is going to end up in S tier. I don't think it's better than those. It may be on par with a couple of them, sure, but until it's proven, like you said, more people play it, maybe it proves itself a little bit more, maybe it does move up to S tier. But as of now, I think A is fine. I actually would probably put it above those other two. Top of it.
Let me go. Yeah, let me go move them around. But yeah, I feel the same way as you, Lane. Like, I want to put it in S, but I want to see it win a tournament and top it by a couple other players first, and then we can move it up to S. But it's a very, very strong A tier.
Yes, but with that said, let's move on to the next one. And sorry to cut you from one more, Lane. I got to give this one to Franklin because I know Franklin.
That's fine. I don't even know this list at all. So
yes, perfect. Franklin loves this one, dude. And I got Franklin. Come on, talk about it, and then just push it over to Islane with the mouse after.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so this is Loyal Inventor. This is a sideways upgrade to Scholar of Ages. So what Loyal Inventor is, it's a 3 mana mono blue creature that says whenever it ETBs, search your deck for any artifact. If you have, put it on top of your deck. If you have an assassin, add it to your hand. So this plays all the changelings available. It has all 2 assassins available to us, which is like a Hookblade veteran. And this just tries to win with doing like mirror retriever loops, but it actually finds Ashnod's Altar, so it also generates infinite mana. And because you're in blue, you have all the counter spells in the world. So it does a very good job at protecting itself. It wins pretty quickly, too, on like starting turn 5. Because again, turn 3, you already tutored for Ashnod's Altar. And then you just protect the queen after that.
Yeah, being able to tutor up all 3 pieces of, or all 4, I'm assuming you have to also get Foundry Inspector. But like,
once you have the loop set up, you just recast your commander, and you just get everything back.
Sure. Okay, so at least you can tutor up 3 of the pieces that you need to do the thing. That sounds even more reliable than the Fleshraker, which I'm sad about. But at the same time, does it do all the other cool shit Fleshraker does?
So, where are you putting it first, Franklin?
I'm gonna put it in B because wherever Scholar is, Loyal Inventor should be holding its hand, just hanging out together.
I kind of feel like the 3 of them together where they are kind of feels like the whole coming together of all of it. It's like mono blue, side adjacent thing. They're all doing the same shit, and then you got the colorless guy in the middle that's like, I like artifact stuff too.
I'm gonna give it to you. I agree. The problem with Loyal Inventor, the reason I don't want to say it's an A tier, it loses to blinking at it incorrectly.
That is the only problem. Like talking with House, who's been running this deck, the deck loses to like just random things, but it's still very strong.
Well,
he had like a very strong win record at the beginning, and then just.
Well, to be fair, I think the deck should almost fall into C tier, which I don't think you guys will agree with me. I'm literally building the deck. I have the deck actually right here, but it loses to too many accidental things. Like just like Islane said, shred memory, you lose to it. Furry Macabre, you lose to it. What is it? Two
Guess what Fleshraker does? It plays all that grave hate to fuck with these other decks that are trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, Tormod's, Relic. Guess what else it loses to? Siege Smash. That was the card I was thinking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and the world's best white card, Thraben
Charm. Like, there's so many cards it accidentally loses to, which is part of my argument for other cards we have here on the list, where, like, they're insane, right? Like, let's be brutally honest. A card that could tutor for Ashnod's in the zone should be disgusting, right?
And it is.
So, it should be, but I will give it this. I do think it's better than the 2 C tier decks because it could just definitively find its combo and end the game instantly if your opponents choose to ignore you, where the 2C decks cannot do that. So I'll give you guys B. I think the deck is gas, though. To say the least, the deck is good.
Sounds pretty good.
All right, Islane. We have a tiny mouse here waiting for you.
Yeah, it's the mouse. It's Zada light, Zada different, Zada adjacent. I don't even remember what its exact wording is. So,
was it our Heartfire Hero is a 1-mana mouse? I believe it's a 1/1. Once per turn, whenever you target it with a spell, so any turn, as long as it's been targeted once, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to all of your opponents.
Okay, so it's definitely Zada adjacent. You can't target it more than once a turn, which that is a huge. It's fixed Zada essentially. That's a huge downswing. Honestly, I was gonna say initially just put it right next to Zada, but I feel like maybe it's a step down because of that alone. However, I do realize that the deck is built slightly different to, benefit what its uniqueness is. So. It's kind of like what was it Judith?
No, Jury.
Jury. Yeah, Jury. Yeah, I remember when Aaron was playing that a lot. Same principle, like build it up and then sack it or whatever, and have the whole do a lot of damage. This is symmetrical, so that makes it a little bit better. So it's like plus on Jury, but like negative on Zada, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's obviously had some success. I've played against it. It does its thing. It does it slower than Zada, I would argue. And it has that weakness of not being able to storm off with it. If you could storm off with it, I think it would be just better Zada.
Yeah.
Right?
So where do you want to put it? What letter are we going for?
I feel like it probably loses to Scholar.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like it's probably below Scholar, but it's basically on par with Fleshraker and the other one because it has those inherent weaknesses. So
you know what? I would agree with that because I've lost a Heartfire Hero many times already. But
me too.
Yeah, because the mouse gets huge, and if all Heartfire has to do is avoid getting bullied, and even when it gets bullied, and if it doesn't get bounced and instead gets killed. Everyone just took anywhere between 5 to 10 damage.
Yep. So my argument for that is, isn't it like low Subordinate, right? You could say it literally the same exact thing.
Sort of, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're going to bully it. It's not going to do the thing. It's still going to do 10 damage to the table, 11 damage to the table.
But it's still so close to Zada, and we gave Zada A, so it's how do you say it's... How do you drop it all the way to D?
But is it that close to Zada? Is it doing the same? But Zada could truly storm, right? And then
Sivirss, that's I'm saying.
Sivirss could lock that deck out, right? Sure. Low Subordinate is just as strong as this mouse, right? It has this great plan where it could bully a different player by swinging, but then you're bolt it before you even start the process. You got to play it again? Cool. You helped me end the game, right? So
that goes a lot with a lot of these decks we've already talked about, though, is that in a pod where other people are draining shit, maybe that wins you the game, or maybe that loses you the game, and that's kind of the meta we're in, where there are so many of these decks that have similar effects. that are just kind of helping each other along, but also hindering each other, and yada yada.
I agree.
And that's kind of why the Cynics and the Izzets that are at the top end, that we know what we're talking about, they tend to not care about these decks because they're just like, I'm just going to bide my time. I'm going to counter things when I need to, and then I'm going to pop off and win.
Yep, the fog. So that means the fogs against this are gross. So here's an easy example. I'm playing Sivirss. I put a Spore Frog into play.
Does the fog affect
you beat me?
that thing dying?
No, but it doesn't let you ever hit you with it, right? So
sure.
How huge does this rat need to be to hit you, right? Like, I get the flings, I get the other things that it needs, right? But once again, I'm playing Sivirss, right? I got the Grave Merchants, I got the thing, I got all the cards that literally could go against this, right? So on and so forth. And I'm playing Sivirss, bro. Are you really going to hurt me? I'm the slowest deck at the table. So I just can't see it being in anything above D currently. That's my hot take.
So, I mean, like, I only wanted to put it anywhere near Zada because of the similarities, but yes, it is obviously different. I only want to put it next to, like, Fleshraker and the other couple because it's kind of on that same level of, like, it can be explosive and do the thing, but it could also just kind of fold to stuff. So I guess that would, by definition, put it more in C.
Yeah. Can I hit you with this one? If Zada resolves, could it literally just win the game? Like, Zada ETB'd, no one did anything. Can it literally win the game? The answer is yes, right?
Yeah.
Heartfire could never do that.
No, it requires more setup.
Yeah. Right. So, like, that's why I think Zada is A, like, 100%. Then Heartfire is just...
No, I hear you. It is a downgrade, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to put it super far down in D because it still wins.
I think C is probably better. It doesn't require the same level of I don't know. I think Larry.
I still think it loses to Arabella. It's gonna lose to life gain decks, just like low subordinate. Like it's a hard sell trying to get it to Kediss Esior, dude. When the Kediss can hit the table. And
I concede. Go ahead. Put it.
Also,
is it above or below Larry?
I think it's on par. Whatever you guys want. I mean, you guys could still argue against me because you both are above me currently.
Yeah, like I said, I'd rather just put it at the bottom of C.
But why? That's the real question. Why?
I mean, I've lost the mouse.
Yeah, because if the mouse gets, I don't want to really say ignored, but like. If the mouse just gets to do its
same with Larry.
Yeah, but same with Larry, right? And the same with Esior, same with Kediss. Bro, could you imagine ignoring the Sivirss the entire game? Like, what?
I would love that. Nobody's ever done that to me. They always are like, "Oh, you're playing Sivirss? Oh, you made that primer? Oh,
yeah,
kill it."
Like, so if all of these decks are sitting, like, look at the pods we have right here. You know what I mean? That we could create with what we have on the tier list. I'm not putting the mouse.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not winning against many of these.
Yeah,
I don't think.
So. Well.
With that said.
Yes.
All right, Gator. So we get this question a lot. What's the difference between Abdel Blue and Abdel Black? At this point,
one card, right? There's one card, right? The new card printed.
Basically, just what was it? Essence Flux pretty much made blue so much better again. Like it's great. We did an entire episode with it. Well, I did an entire episode with Rohan, just pretty much saying, yeah, Essence Flux pretty much turned Abdel Blue from like B tier back up to A tier just for the one single card. Because now that we made Abdel Blue look more like Abdel Black by adding in Ashnod's Altar and just basically going manual Flicker Storm, deck's been great. Problem is, sometimes I get into that situation where I have like 31 soldiers on board. I can go through my deck and eventually hit the rest of the combo pieces that I need. But if I did that in Abdel Black, you would just be dead from just a drain.
Yep.
So with that, I actually just kind of want to put them right next to each other. Because before, we tried to avoid talking about these two decks and like trying to avoid all the similarities they have. But at this point, I would say they're both practically the same deck at this point. Just which way do you want to go? You want to go with
same power level, not same deck, right? Same power.
Yeah,
level.
same power level.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like it's more of which way do you want to control the board? You want to control them with just having a whole bunch of creatures on board and just trying to counter. Well, Abdel Blue doesn't even have counter spells in it, or just trying to control their combat with Stonehorn Dignitary
Mm-hmm.
and just try to outvalue them, or ripping their hands away and like edicting the crap out of people, and then you have an army of soldiers, and then they will just and then you just burn them out.
So here's my hot take. Tell me if you. I don't even know if this even is the right way to think about it, but this is my experience. The second highest deck that I have an insane win rate with, which is like essentially the same as Scholar, is Abdel Black. Abdel Blue, I lost like 50 games in a row with. Abdel Black, it's like 40 wins and like 6 losses. Like, I literally win almost every game I play with Abdel Black as well. It's disgusting. But they don't choose to kill me because they're like, oh, you're not blue. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand what that means, but sure.
Depending on your deck, black is worse for you, you know?
Yeah, so I've never understood that thought process, and maybe it's I don't even know what it is. So I want to say black is still better, but I will agree with you, Franklin, that the Essence Flux has given
Essence Flux
Abdel
downshifted
Blue.
or something?
Yeah,
Yes,
they actually
dude.
did it.
No.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I played it in CDH years ago, and I don't even play
Yeah.
that card anymore because like that's just better versions.
Yep, but the fact that it was downshifter for Abdel Blue, like, literally gave that deck a, hey, you could win now. So,
little shot in the arm.
oh, dude,
Yeah.
like, roided out, shot in the arm, like, play Dizzy
But I mean,
spell
you were already
now,
playing a bunch of
like,
flickers. Oh, because you could
one
tutor it.
mana, dude. The one
Yeah,
mana,
no,
you
even-
need less rocks, you need less everything to create the loop now. Like, it's
Yeah, because like
Well,
before
Wasn't Ephemerate already doing that for you?
No,
No,
because
Ephemerate
Ephemerate
can't
exiles
combo.
itself.
Yeah, you can't loop it.
Mm.
So we only had Cloud Shift. Now we have
Cloud
2
Shift, yeah.
pieces. Yep.
Okay. I see that. So
So,
redundancy is good, and then like you said, Dizzy Spell can get either. So
Yep. And before you didn't play Dizzy Spell because you didn't. You there weren't enough cards for you to want to actively tutor for. But now Dizzy Spell could get you a Spell Bomb. Dizzy Spell could get you any of the 2 combo pieces now, right? Now
It
we're
gets
looking at a
you,
lot of cards.
Astrolabe.
Gets you
Because again,
Astrolabe, right?
yeah, because Astrolabe
Astrolabe
was
can be looped, right?
yeah, and that's a big thing that Abdel Blue used to have a problem with. We're like, cool, I can go infinite, but I'm not drawing cards.
Yeah.
Now you just tutor up the Astrolabe, and you're good to go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say Abdel Black is a hair better. Hair.
Only
Just a
because you don't need, as you're flickering, you just blow shit up, or drain the table, right?
Yep.
So
So just
that
a
makes
hair,
it slightly better. Yeah.
but I agree with you, Franklin. I do believe they both belong back in A. Like before Essence Flux was downshifted, dude, I was about to tell you it was a solid B tier deck, and it was going to stay that way essentially indefinitely because I had no faith in the Essence Flux downshift. So
Yeah, that was crazy to see. Like Innistrad downshifting both Essence Flux and Imprison on the Moon. I didn't actually expect that to happen.
yeah, same.
Oh yeah, but that's the Lignify trap.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We will get into that in our next tier list episode.
Yeah, I mean, I can see to you guys, I don't play Abdel. I did make an Abdel blue list at one point, but I was trying to be cute and make it different than Gator, so I did the, whatever, the extra dungeon dive thing, and added in, like, the couple ways to get into dungeons, and then you basically just do the same loops, but you're going through the dungeons, so then you have the one from the initiative that has the drain, and then the one from Lost Mine, I think,
Yeah.
Delver. So you had 2 options to do a loop and just keep giving yourself the initiative, etc. So like you would just dig through the dungeons and kill people. I think I won a game with it like one time. I didn't play it a lot. I'm not a big Abdel. I think Abdel's cool. I prefer being able to do like the actual like Wool Gorger Dragon style stuff that you can do in CDH. So Without that, I'm like, I'm not really into these decks, so I can see you guys. A sounds fine to me. Are you putting them at bottom of A behind those guys though? I Shadowspinner, I'd say yes for sure. Is it not? Are they not better than Malcolm Kediss or Zada?
Malcolm Kediss isn't on here yet, but
No, I'm sorry. I meant Dargo Kediss.
yeah, better than Dargo Kediss. It's kind of rough because like Dargo Kediss can just beat your face in. But then again, Abdel Blue.
Gator's never gonna say that they're better than Dargo Kediss.
Okay, here's my hot take. Abdel chooses to tap out in the first 5 turns. They auto lose to Dargo Kediss. Abdel chooses to mulligan to a Stonehorn Dignitary and blink it for 5 turns. Abdel auto beats Dargo Kediss, right? So I think they both could auto beat each other.
Kind of a stalemate.
Yeah. So, which makes them just as good. They can answer each other.
What about Zada?
Zada is the same thing. I could Stonehorn Dignitary you as well, but I could kill you on turn 4 when you tap out, right? I think they're all on par. I don't think one is better than the other.
Just Shadowspinner is the top of A. Everything else is just kind of the same.
That's my hot take. I think Shadowspinner's gas.
Yeah, because at that point everyone's just racing against Shadowspinner. To be honest, or Shadowspinner.
Yeah.
Shadowspinner can adapt to anything that it needs to do. It's like, do I have to race everyone and just outpace everyone, or do I have to play the mirror control game?
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense.
But again, that's why Shadowspinner is an A tier, because it does whatever it needs to do.
Exactly. The adaptive decks is one of the reasons there's very few decks in our format that can adapt to any situation. That's one reason why I believe it's an S tier deck. It's going to adapt to the table, unlike a Dargo Kediss, where the Dargo Kediss goes, hey, you adapt to me because I'm going to crush your skull. And the Abdel's going to do the same thing.
You know how I think that we prove that Shadowspinner is an S tier deck?
How?
Is that we do another Team Common Theory thing and invade a tournament and we all play it.
I mean, I topped the first event I ever played with it. So played with it.
Just saying. If we're all there, it makes a bigger meta splash. But regardless, I think it's pretty good. As far as the Abdels go, yeah, as I said, I haven't played with them really, but playing against them, I've lost to both of them quite a bit. Although I don't see blue really anymore. I'm hoping that you're right about the changes and that maybe that brings it back into the spotlight. It'd be cool to see it at some tournaments again because it's been missing.
Yep. But
because there's just times where like all you really have is like 2 colorless rocks and one of them just so happens to be a mana filter. So congratulations, you have another way to filter into blue. And just
exactly. Yep. But with that said, I think we're done with the first half of the tier list. And Isling, again, thank you.
We still have a butt ton left to go for next week.
We still do, you guys. And we will be doing our best to bring Isling on for the next episode. So hopefully he can be here. And with all that said, Isling, please tell them where they can find you.
If they don't already know, that's surprising. But
yeah, because his name is at the bottom of every video.
Pretty much. Yep. Still, and also at the bottom of your YouTube channel with recommended people that you can follow. Same vice versa with my channel. But yeah, so I'm at the Possibility Storm here on YouTube. I've got everything else too, but yeah, you pretty much find everything on Linktree. So it's Linktree / the Possibility Storm. Also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Possibility Storm. Working on some new merch. I still haven't gotten any word back from Ink Gaming. It was kind of pissing me off. It's been like over a week since I submitted for a new playmat design. But I do have some stuff up on Bonfire. I haven't made a proper announcement because, again, I was going to wait until Ink Gaming was like, here's your shit. Also, working on some new tokens that are going to go towards patrons and or whenever I go out to in-person events like Vegas. I'm shooting for Vegas this year, but since it's so close off the heels of last year's Vegas, fingers crossed I can make it. If I can't, well, sorry. But if I can, I'll have some stuff to hand out. I made some custom AI art via the same thing that like Bobby uses to make the tokens for the Sanctuary winners, which Gator has a couple of those. Use some of that same technology to make some squirrel tokens as.
They're very, very sick. I've been
I think they look
lucky
pretty
enough
cool.
to see them. They're badass, and I cannot wait to get my hands on some.
Yeah, I just got to make me an NPC order, but I'm also working on. I have a command tower that somebody drew for me that is referencing Stephen King's The Dark Tower.
Oh, cool.
But has my own little character, which there's a whole bunch of shit I could talk about, but we'll leave that for that channel update. But yeah, working on some tokens. Hopefully gonna have some new stickers, and then again shirts, hoodies, other stuff, and then playmats. So lots of stuff you can check out. Again, Linktree/Possibility Storm. You'll find everything there, and it'll be in the show notes below.
Perfect. I appreciate it, my bro. And Franklin,
Yep, thanks for having me.
Always take us home.
Yep. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this first half of the tier list. If there's a deck on here that you want us to talk about, just leave it in the comments. I actually probably going to end up adding Lagomos for next week, so that's even more decks for us to talk about. But
we'll be less long-winded next week, promise.
We'll try to be.
It'll be less.
No guarantees.
It'll be less long-winded for sure.
Yeah.
I think our pet decks are out of the way, so now it's just run through them.
There's like one pet deck that I want to talk about.
Yeah, I have one still too, but yeah.
Actually, yeah, like one or two pet decks in there that I want to talk about. But something that I wanted to bring up a couple weeks ago is take care of your teeth. Dentists are expensive. Gum disease is real. Don't go get something scheduled. Go make your local dentist happy. And with that, everyone, thank you so much for joining. If you made it this far, like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, all these decks are really cheap and inexpensive. They're anywhere between $45 to $100 at most. So if you like this video, share it to your friends. Follow us over on Blue Sky, TikTok, and if you haven't followed us over on Spotify, go do that. And with that, everyone, thank you so much. Have a great week.
Please.
Thank you for watching. And if you want to support the channel, please subscribe and join the Discord in our link below. And become a member over on our Patreon. Shout out to all of our patrons and YouTube channel members: Eric, Cobraman, Aaron, Devin, NYC Burrito, Little Rad Lotad, Frank, Scoob, HZ, Too Much Do, and Bernie. Thank you for all of your support.